Doing well. What's going on, man?
Not too much. Can you hear me pretty well, or am I sounding a little off?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear, fam.
Perfect. That's the best thing then.
Should we kick off some music? Do you have some music, or you want me to play some music?
Yeah, usually we had actually the last space we had Didi who's using the Zoolana host right now. He played
Okay.
some music earlier, so Didi, would you like to come back with some more tunes for us to listen to?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. He had a pretty good song last time, so I'm interested in seeing if he's able to trump that.
Oh my God. Can I just play the same song?
Sure, if you want to. Actually, let's mix it up. Give me something different, Didi. Let me hear something new,
Okay.
please.
Uh, oh my
So while
God.
Didi struggles based, how's it going? How are you doing?
Good. I'm just hanging out. I've got the World Cup on. Who's everybody got?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The U.S. is playing. I think at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah,
So
in a few
um,
hours. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Are you guys all based like in East Coast, West Coast?
I am in Madrid right now. I'm usually out of the
Oh,
West Coast or the
nice,
East Coast though.
nice.
And
Weather must be much better
No,
than
it's
here.
freezing cold, man. Well,
Oh, it
actually, it's
is.
30
Oh,
for you
interesting.
guys, right? It's like 50 here.
oh, that's not too
Oh,
bad.
okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'll take that.
It's it's
Exactly.
it's freezing by Madrid standards.
Yeah, yeah.
It was -5 Celsius, I think, this morning around the New York
Ooh,
City area. So,
God.
yeah,
That's pretty
Yeah, it's
tough.
like
yeah,
below freezing.
Did you
yeah. It
guys
was it was
did you
cold.
guys get any of that snow that hit up in Buffalo?
No, no. I have a buddy that's actually up around the Buffalo area, like just right outside, and they got hit bad. Like,
Yeah, they got like
and he was like,
six
"It's never
feet.
been like this." Yeah, it was 6 feet in one instant, but it like for 4 days they just keep going.
That's totally
And
insane.
it's totally insane. He showed me a photo, like the snow is basically up to his windows.
Wow.
Like it's crazy. I was like, my on my wife's side is from Montreal, and they get snow, but I was like, I've never seen that much snow ever. So
It's
it's
totally
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, I would trade space. I would trade Madrid for the cold weather of East Coast anytime right now.
Yeah, I've gotten so I'm out of Washington D.C. usually, and
Okay.
the I've gotten a little bit thinner blood since I've gotten into Madrid, where it's like 100 in the summer and then 80s in the fall. So
Oh
So how
yeah.
long have you been
the
in Madrid
50s
for?
feels way colder than I'm used to.
Is it dry? Is it pretty dry in Madrid?
Yeah, super dry, very much
Okay.
like Texas heat kind of thing.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
How long have you
Interesting.
been there for?
4 months.
Okay, so a little bit of time now. You've gotten a good ample experience between seasons, I guess, right?
Yeah, when we got here, it was like 90, and it's kind of progressively cooled off. So.
Okay, nice, nice. So what made you want to move out to Madrid?
My wife got a scholarship for her master's, so I'm out here
Oh,
doing
cool.
the trophy husband thing, and
Oh,
she's
nice.
studying. So
Nice, man.
yeah,
That's
Trophy
awesome.
it's
crypto
good.
husband. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
solid.
she like brings her friends over. I'm like, let me talk to you about NFTs.
And of what?
They're like, we don't speak English. Stop
Got it. Got it.
that.
It might be a little bit tougher of a topic now, given where we are in the current
Yeah.
ecosystem, though.
Can I
Oh
sell you
man.
some FTT coin
Yeah,
at
for
prices that
sure.
Sure.
were of 2 months ago?
Yeah, I'm good off of that. Thank you, though.
Yeah, no problem. If
Snake
anybody else is interested, just drop me a DM.
snake oil salesman's over here.
But hey, I was actually in Spain early, like towards the end of the summer, but it was really hot. We were down in like Seville,
Mm.
the Malaga area, and we didn't make it all the way up to kind of the Madrid area, but it was like it actually reminded not Texas heat, but like Arizona heat. It's very dry.
Yeah.
So it's very dry. So
Yeah, I'm experiencing the opposite right now. I actually just moved to Thailand, and so I'm getting that humid, wet heat.
oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And like even now, actually, it's like technically wintertime, but even when I'm outside, it's still like 80 something degrees Fahrenheit. So it's like not terrible, but it's like I take a shower and then I step outside and then I'm instantly wet again after drying off. So it's a very unique sensation.
I mean, I grew up in Taiwan, so I
Oh,
know
really?
exactly what that's like.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So when I was a kid, yeah, I mean, it's humid all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, they said Taiwan is supposed to have 4 seasons. Like you feel the cold, you feel right,
Hmm.
but like now it's just with the climate
Just
change,
humidity.
it's pretty much just hot and humid
Yeah.
most of the time. So
Yeah.
uh, you like you walk outside at 7 a.m. in the morning during the summer,
Yeah.
like you sweat.
Yeah, no,
So
I originally I was in Oregon, and so Oregon actually was hit by like all seasons, and so I had like a good, nice experience between like winter, summer, fall, and spring. And I'm actually like really missing like the winter festivities and like that kind of like holiday spirit and stuff, right?
yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
yeah, that was actually where I saw snow for the very first time. Was I was born in Thailand, so I was born in Asia too. But then I moved to the
Okay.
U.S. and I saw snow for the first time in Oregon, and it was such a surreal experience. And I still remember it. I was like younger, and I was just like
Yes.
standing outside, and like the snow droplets were
Yep.
like trickling down, and I stuck out my tongue, and I was like, "What is this stuff?" Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
kind of miss that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I grew up in Taiwan and then moved to Jersey,
Mm.
North Jersey, where my uncle owned the restaurant.
Yeah, my mom owns a
And
restaurant
same thing.
too.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
the American
That's
dream, right?
awesome. Yeah, right. So because my uncle owned the restaurant,
Mm.
he knew a lot of people around the town. So that's why, like, we had a choice between moving to East Coast or West Coast. And
Hmm.
my parents have friends on the West Coast, but they were like, hey, my uncle's there.
Hmm.
And and it wasn't like a takeout restaurant. So
Mm.
like he knew a lot of the like pretty interesting, like, the superintendent at the school.
Yeah,
And so we thought that was a good connection
yeah,
that, had a lot of connection. So we moved there, moved to, this town in New Jersey.
yeah.
And it was the same thing. Like, I remember my first time seeing snow. Like, my homeroom teacher, like, I was fifth grade.
Hmm.
My home teacher's like, hey, Rob has never seen snow, let's all go outside and see the snow. And
Yeah,
it was actually pretty cool. Yeah, it
no,
was
that's
actually pretty
super
cool.
sick.
So
That's so funny though. No, yeah, I moved to like a small town too. I guess it's a smaller town. I'm not necessarily sure if you moved to a small town, but it was like the same type of
it's a
local
small town.
vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
my mom actually had a friend who owned a restaurant, and so that's how she got us there first. And then she was working
Ah,
there, and then she ended up opening her own restaurant after some time. So,
interesting.
yeah,
I mean, we all got to eat, right?
yeah,
So,
literally.
the the food business is a huge business. But hey, you probably know, like, running a business is a tough
It's a
business.
tough
It's a
business. Yeah,
it's a
service
razor mark.
industry too is
Oh
difficult.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. No, for sure.
No, I'm curious. I'm
Um,
curious if you've seen any of this or if you've heard from your family that, and especially in the U.S., at least like from what we've been experiencing over on the West Coast in Oregon, is that people don't technically want to work in the service industry anymore. We're having like a hard time finding like waiters and servers and stuff
oh yeah,
along those
no,
lines.
it's the same. It's the same. Yeah, no, it's the same. I think that there's, it's hard work, and
Mm-hmm.
there are ways to kind of, to earn your wages. I mean,
100%.
when I was a kid, when I was a kid, I try to help out at the restaurant. I mean, I try to earn tips,
Yeah.
right? Like, when I was a kid, I would
Yeah.
check coats, right? So it was like a slightly higher end restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so people come in, and there's a coat checker, like, which is me, and a bunch of other sort of high school or middle school kid. I
Yeah.
was in middle school. And so and then I would, like, go out and go back in the kitchen when I was older, pack, like, the takeout, right? Like, cut,
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Yeah.
like, sometimes you cut your hand on the aluminum, like, all that kind of stuff. Like, I grew up around that shit. So
100%. No, that's actually that gives me a little primer into like kind of what you guys are doing with Plato too. So I'm gonna
yeah,
be interested in
yeah,
chatting with you more about that. But I guess
for
we're
sure, for
already
sure.
at like 11:10. Sadly, Didi didn't play any of his music, but I think we can get started anyway. Um,
Yeah,
if that
we
Bro,
works
can
for
get
you
everybody.
guys are going on about life story. How can I cut in music at that stage?
It's a nice background ambience, you know.
Yeah, I mean that was more relaxing than I think some dubstep would have been. So
Very
Oh
true.
man.
All right. Well, I mean, we're 10 minutes in. I guess we can get started now. First off, I'd like to say thank you guys for joining us. It's going to be really interesting to have this conversation. You guys are kind of our first type of platforms that are doing more of like a gamified social type of aspect. Like we've been chatting before with like people who directly work in the Web3 gaming space, but this is kind of a different element or aspect of that. So, I guess to get started off, if you guys could give the audience a little bit more information about kind of like what you guys do and what your products and platforms are. We can get first started off with Based, if you wouldn't mind.
yeah, sure. So at Based, we're building a private network for Web3. So the way we define a private network is we essentially like to say internally it's exclusivity for all. So the idea being that we want to use NFTs to extend the idea of exclusivity in communities broadly in Web3 and then beyond Web3. It's kind of our belief internally that everybody will utilize NFTs for gating and building up communities in the future, like Reddit, Twitter. All these platforms are moving closer and closer to communities, and we think that they will utilize NFTs in the future for it. And we're trying to build the platform that is going to be the dream scenario for communities and basically providing a 10x experience for people that operate in this space. So we have things like your feed that connects to your wallet level and all your friends, token gated chats, a way to pull in all Discord announcements. We just got Zoolana announcements in as well.
Hmm.
And then we have what's called the Makers Pool, which pays people out for helping to grow the app. So if you invite friends, you provide feedback to the app, etc., you actually get paid out in Solana. And we've had people get as big of payouts as like 18 Sol for the last few weeks. So it's been really good.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's actually super interesting. I feel like there hasn't really been like a comprehensive network that really ties in kind of all the stuff that we do within the Web3 space. And it makes sense that like building around that exclusivity feel because innately like NFTs have that ability to kind of gate communities, right? Like you're buying into something that specifically verifies your ownership. So there should be benefits associated with how you interact with those other people that share the NFTs too. So I
Totally.
think
And
that's, yeah.
yeah, our belief is that what we've seen for the last year isn't a flash in a pan. It's more of a
Mm-hmm.
growing trend, and we're building on top of that.
100%. Okay, I'm excited to chat more about that with you. But I guess next up, Plato, please.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about food,
Yeah.
slightly, but yeah. So, just a little bit about myself. So I'm a third time founder. My first startup was actually in mobile security. My background was in is in mobile development, and so it was 2008. We started mobile security. We bootstrapped, and it was a subscription service for people to back up their data, find their phone, wipe their phone. A little bit like Find My iPhone, but at that time it was BlackBerry was the big thing, and so was Android. So we did that. Sold the company within 3 years. And did another venture-backed startup, and it was in logistics, mobile logistics, in New York City, and then ran that for about a couple of years, had a soft landing, and then just recently, earlier this year, started Plato. And I would say we all know, right? Being a creator, being a starting a new venture is always tough, and I really didn't plan on starting a new company or a new venture, but because of what happened to the food industry with COVID, my uncle was struggling, with just like going sort of migrating to Uber Eats and DoorDash for the first time that he's ever had to run after running the restaurant for like 37 years. And so he was seeing a lot of his margin basically eroded because of Uber Eats and DoorDash. I mean, if you look at Uber Eats and DoorDash, it's convenient for the eater, but for the restaurant, it's a way to get business. It's a lead gen, if you will. But it really hurts, your business when 60% or 70% of your orders are coming from Uber Eats and DoorDash. So, so we set out. So my co-founder for the third time, Dante and I, we kind of set out to kind of brainstorm on what we can do. And we were pretty early with crypto, just as kind of like investor or speculators, really is what we were, but never as builders. And so I think we kind of took a look at what was some of the interesting ways that we can use tokens to motivate people to break their habit. And so I think that's kind of the genesis for Plato. And so our mission is pretty simple. So what is it? It's we're trying to get people into the restaurant and eat and earn. And so and in essence, it's really like Foursquare plus Yelp, right, with token and NFT. And so as you eat, check in, you review the food, and you verify it with the receipt capture, you earn our Dine token. And that Dine token is actually funded by the marketing platform that we're building for the restaurant. So the idea is this concept all called the ad rewards, right? Rewarding ads. And so what does that mean? So the restaurant ad spend that they typically would spend on Yelp or Google AdWords or Facebook or whatever it is, if they spend it with Plato, that actually 75% of what they spend actually goes into the pockets of people that actually clicked within Plato app and actually visited the restaurant and verify their eating. And so the idea is that, I as an eater, I can, basically get rewarded by the restaurant directly. And I am actually enticed to go back to the same restaurant next time because whatever I earn has almost a one-to-one exchange rate for food. And so I can say redeem, whatever tokens I earn to an appetizer or to a drink or to whatever the restaurant wants you to redeem, instead of earning somewhere at one restaurant and go somewhere else where you can still earn and redeem, but the amount that you can redeem for is a bit less just because you didn't earn those tokens in that other restaurant. So the idea is it's a ad reward platform that creates royalty, and we're trying to bring people back to the restaurant. And that's really the long and short of it.
That's actually super interesting. You're eating to earn. That's like super cool, right? I mean, like the whole idea
Yeah.
behind, yeah, the
Yeah.
whole idea behind that is super kind of interesting and novel. I know for a fact, like what you were mentioning before, around the pain points of kind of like using or leveraging services like Uber Eats. Like for my mom personally, she has no idea how that works either, and so it makes it difficult for her to like learn the new stuff when it's actually when it's gonna
Yes.
definitely be necessary though, right, to move on as like in the industry.
Yes, and if you so like I said, I mean, my uncle never had to use Uber Eats and DoorDash because
Mm,
it was more of like open table resi, right?
mm-hmm.
Because he actually needed the table management and stuff like that. But I think for when COVID happened, everything shut down. He had to adopt to it. Now, unfortunately, right? I think people
Mm,
also have adopted even more so after COVID.
100%.
And so I think what we're trying to do, we don't call it eat to earn, because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to eat no matter what, right? It's not
For
like,
sure.
oh, because of Plato, I'm going to go eat. But I
Yeah.
think the way we're looking at this is it enhances you as an eater, your user experience.
Yeah.
And like Asian people love, I don't want to stereotype, but I'm doing it because I'm Asian, but we love taking picture of the food, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so the idea is to leverage that, but then not only that, you're reviewing the food. And then
Mm-hmm.
the interesting part, and we're actually releasing this to our alpha user, it's a very closed alpha user base right now, is as you capture the receipt, we ask you to capture the itemized receipt. And so we can actually map what you ordered and
Mm-hmm.
what you took food of, and then basically match up the name. Because imagine right now you go on Google Maps, and you say, hey, this restaurant had a bunch of
Yeah.
people, like took picture of the food, but then you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what that is, right? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
no name for it. And so what we're doing is we're actually mapping the name from the receipt to the
Yeah.
picture and the review that you left. So we quote unquote normalize and standardize
Yeah.
all the user generated content,
Yeah.
and really make the next eater that goes to that restaurant, their life much easier when it comes to picking food. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
100%. Right. I mean, like, so I guess the more adequate term would be eat and earn rather than eat to
Yes,
earn,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
So,
eat and earn.
yeah,
That's
eat and
definitely the
earn.
subtle difference. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I actually had like a similar pain point to this. I went to Portugal for Breakpoint, and I don't speak any Portuguese natively. But I went to restaurants just to simply try out the food, and I would often look online to see if there was a menu. And there was, of course, a menu, but there wasn't anything in English for me to read, and there was no corresponding image, right? I could easily have made orders off of the images alone based on something that seemed enticing to me, but since there wasn't even that attached to it, I couldn't really figure
You
out
didn't
what I
know,
wanted.
yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't know
and
what to
so
order.
this makes
Yes,
a lot more
yes,
sense along those lines.
yes, yes.
Cool. Yeah.
And actually, it's funny. So we were also in Lisbon as well.
Oh.
And yeah, so I'll post something on the jumbotron, but you know, of us on stage, and but we actually let like about 45 people. It was like through a Telegram group,
Mm.
and basically a bunch of people that are going to Solana. If they fill out that form, you know, we just invited them, whether they have an Android or iOS. So right now we're going through our backlog has a lot of the our dev team is kind of working through that to
Mm.
get some of the kinks out. But yeah, so I mean, we definitely let people eat and earn while they were in Lisbon. You know, that during that whole week. So
Yeah. No, that's great. No, so I mean, so I guess like the biggest thing about making an initiative like this successful, and I'm going to bring this back to Base as well. And Base, if you could answer this first, that'd be great. Or we're going to open up the discussion for all of us to answer this. But I think one of the biggest things is that to make both of these initiatives like really successful is that you have to be able to kind of create a community and partner with already pre-existing networks or in pre-existing communities, right? So like, how do you go about kind of like vying for interests so that communities will join in on this network? It's going to be a little bit different with Base being more specifically direct into the Web3 space and Plato having to enter into the Web2 space. But how do you guys go about doing that? I'm kind of interested in hearing.
Yeah, let me just really quickly sidebar.
Yeah, of course.
Plato, I love what you guys are doing. I was an investor at Empire DAO, and one of the reasons that I was an investor is because of the way the founder painted the vision of, you know, during this period in COVID, we basically all went into this remote work. And having been someone that has been a remote worker for 7 years, it feels like the pendulum just swung way too far.
right, yeah,
Getting people back into, you know, IRL, and especially because you guys are doing it with a way that's actually novel and using crypto in the right ways to
Mm.
incentivize use of the platforms and individuals doing the, you know, different things that you want for enterprises is just really awesome. So I'd love to chat more about it and hear what you guys are up to on
yeah.
that.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it.
Um,
Appreciate it.
yeah, for when it comes to growing a network, we, you know, my background is more from the government consulting space originally. I had built up a company as well prior to coming full time Web3. We had a ton of engineers, some contracts as big as like 250 guys with KPMG. Um, but I say that because I was around and got to see two different styles of strategies that work very, very well for
Yeah.
what we're building. The first one, which you described, is kind of the top down strategy and is definitely a part of our broader strategy to grow the app.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, you go community by community, you talk to the founders, you talk to the leaders in the community, and you get them to sign on and use the app. Um, we're lucky enough so far that we've signed on two pretty large communities, and we have three queued up before the end of December that we're capable of bringing in. Some of them super namely like Monkey Baby Business, Soul Army.
Yeah.
We have Feeble Labs. So we've got a ton of communities that are coming in and signing on, and just lucky enough to also be a bit of a crypto OG and have deep connections and partnerships that are wanting to work with me as a person.
Yeah.
So that's how we're using our top down strategy. We also have the bottom up strategy, which goes back to the um, consulting I was discussing, because I was around and watched as SailPoint absolutely dominated the IAM space for government consulting. And the way that they were doing it was everybody was using CyberArk, and then they went to all these program managers and project managers and said, you guys should try out SailPoint. And they would use SailPoint until the point of like 80% of the staff was already using SailPoint. It was costing the organization more money to get all these individual licenses instead of just buying an enterprise package.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another strategy we're employing with our invite codes and giving people makers as well as rewarding them with Solana in order to come and try out the app. And once
Yeah.
people are in a community already using it to like 50-60% of a community, you best believe with a quick conversation with the leadership, they're going to be jumping over too. So we have kind of a sandwich attack in a less technical sense of communities we're running. with the leadership that we know, we're executing on a top-down strategy, and it's been super successful. We crossed over 1,000 users a couple weeks ago,
Nice,
with
congratulations.
really, really good DAU. And we're hoping that that's just going to continue to accelerate with the connections and the strategies we're running. So if anybody wants to check out the app, I've got some makers to give away after this too. So thank you
That's
guys.
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
sick.
awesome.
So I was kind of curious then, like, have you noticed kind of a slowdown from the interactions with communities given like the current sentiment we're in this market, or has it like maintained pretty solid levels?
So not a slowdown.
Okay.
I've definitely like Discord chats
Mm-hmm.
of communities that were kind of already on their way out have definitely died off faster. But the reality is for the communities that were active, you have some people leaving, and there's definitely less communities starting. But for the people that
Yeah.
wanted to be here, I think they're just as active. Um, the people that are interested in the amount of technology that's available here and the things that we can do with it are here. The people that were speculating a lot less, but we weren't really building for that to begin with. So
Mm-hmm. No, I like the response. Yeah, 100%. Plato,
Hey,
you.
curious too. I guess, was there a shift between before you guys mint and then after you guys mint? And then just for your own community, I was just kind of curious to see how the dynamic maybe has shifted or maybe that didn't shift. Love to kind of get your thoughts. I mean, we haven't minted yet. We're minting in a couple of Fridays in a bear market, but we're hoping to still mint out on Magic Eden. But I'd love to kind of get your take, just see how it went for your community post mint and pre mint.
yeah, so we minted our first collection in January, and we minted out pretty easily at that point. Just being a team with 5 different exits and all different categories, so it was people were pretty much behind us at that point. Um, there was a bit of a lull because we were building software, which just takes time, and everybody
Yeah.
at that point was like, now, now, now. Why isn't the price going up? Um,
Right.
but as things have, for us at least, as there's less and less speculation and more interest in what people are actually building, things have gotten better for
Yeah.
us from a discussion standpoint during the bear market. Um, and I the only thing that I would say is following the mint. I think you're going to find that you kind of find your tribe very quickly,
Mm.
and that tribe that is actually
Mm,
interested in what you're doing will remain as people start to fade out. And I would just caution you to not worry so much if people decide to fade out, because
okay.
it's a fallacy that a lot of people fall into. They're like, oh, my engagement's falling after the mint and yada yada blah blah. But you have to recognize there's just this cohort of people that only care about speculation, and they're
Right.
not going to be
Right.
the ones that go and
Stick
sit and
around.
eat at places
Yeah.
they don't want to try and use your marketing platform and
Right.
XYZ. They're only interested in making a quick buck on the NFT.
Yeah. No. That's a good. Yeah, that's a good. Definitely a good feedback. And actually, with Zoolana, is that something that you guys also kind of feel as well, or I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I think from like a general standpoint within like the overall ecosystem, it's kind of expected to see that you're gonna have people at least like right after a mint, trying to flip your NFTs, right? Like there's people who are in it just for that quick flip, but then of course like what Base was mentioning earlier is that you find the community as you kind of build out and you kind of like go along in the process. For us, we still have like a very consistent base of individuals who have stayed from the beginning and like maintain kind of their activity within our community. And so that's really cool to see, right?
Right. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it highly depends on how you choose to structure your narrative as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because our very first, well, not first min, our first min was in October, if I'm not wrong, or even earlier than that. I think September, early September, and we were actually the first. One of the first projects to launch with Magic Eden back when they are like a little baby. They had like
Mm.
only 5,000 followers then, and yeah, we partner up. We partner up with them, and then yeah, we sold out pretty quickly. And there's like a huge wave, so I'm not sure whether the same situation will arise at this current market, but what we noticed during our past 3 mints was that prior towards the mint, you're gonna have like a huge wave of people that are gonna be coming into your Discord and interacting, trying to get whatever they can get in order to mint it. Also depending on market sentiment. So I don't think that's gonna happen right now, but still you're gonna see an increased amount of people that are interacting with you guys and things like that. But like what Based mentioned, um, people who are here are gonna be here. To those who actually give constructive feedback, listen to them. I feel like it's very very important to listen to communities. As, like just open a dedicated channel. For our side, we just have it be ideas and features. So whatever ideas they have or whatever features they would like to see, or whatever constructive feedback that they would like to give, they can just post it over there, and then we as founders, we take the time to actually read it and reply it, and people actually really appreciate that at this climate. So I think communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
Always listen to your supportive group. Keep them close, and always be transparent with them as much as you can. Not saying
Right. Right.
be 100% transparent, because there's always going to be things that you cannot divulge, but be as transparent as you can.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of an important thing to note too, at least within like the recent market sentiment, is that there have been projects that have been able to successfully mint out, right? Like you've seen Popheads, for example. You've seen Bungie's project, Lily's. There's a couple more hype ones coming out in the future. The Ape X Brave minted out as well, but like that's because they had like communities behind them, or at least people who were interested in minting, right? Which is like a very interesting phenomenon now, where I would say it's like the people who show initial interest to mint via the whitelisting process are more likely to mint out now, given the current market sentiment, than before. So I think that's something that you could really play into, or at least really consider,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
gauge that interest.
We definitely, I definitely, because like in our community, we have, early on, we have kind of this eat and earn contest where
Mm-hmm.
even though the app is now not out yet at that time, well, I mean, still not out publicly right now, but it kind of mimics a little bit of what the app does, which is like taking, picture of the food and then
Mm-hmm.
taking picture of the receipt. And so, this way you enter a contest that, you can earn some USDC, right, as a contest. And so we do see like a core group of people that are, doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a core group of people that are just posting food pick, right? We have a channel that just say, hey, whatever food pick you want to post there, like do it. And so we get like a core set of people, like you said, just ask like, hey, when are you minting? When is wallet submission? Like what is
Yeah,
the price? Is pre-sale coming out? Like, but
yeah.
then there's another core of people that they really like food, and or they really are interested in using the app
Mm-hmm.
because they potentially want to eat and earn.
Yeah.
So I definitely I really appreciate that feedback where you know I shouldn't take too personally on if people start like bail out after minting,
Mm-hmm.
because they were just there for flipping, right, flipping
Yeah.
on the NFT. So I think that's a really good feedback. So.
I think and I hope that you see less of this though. I mean, the thing about this now is that like if people really want to leave out and like not if people really wanted to flip, they would have done that a couple months ago. I think we're in like this the type of market now where like the people who are in your community, the ones that are chatting through the bear markets, are the ones that are actually interested in the underlying technology and your product. And I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
like you have a lot going for you that people should be able to see as a benefit beyond simply just even like the mechanisms and the Web3 aspect of it all, but also like the implications for Web2 and what that can mean for the overall like crypto industry, right? Like there's a really cool product here, and you're really able to kind of like link in a traditional industry with an emerging technology. It makes sense. You're disrupting traditional industry.
yeah, yeah. And I think, for us, like again, like my last startup was, sort of venture backed,
Mm,
where my first one was bootstrapped, and I feel like, when we started this project, when we kind of like, how do we want to start this? And so we, pulled together a little bit of money, and we'll call it basically a pre-seed. And
Mm-hmm.
so we did start building, and we only made one pivot, where it was still in the food space, but at the time we were like thinking, hey, maybe we can decentralize the whole like delivery. But we
Mm.
very quickly realized it's a
Yeah.
three-sided marketplace. It was much tougher to do that. Like, not
Mm-hmm.
only do we have to acquire the eater, the restaurant, and the driver. So we kind of went back to the drawing board just a bit, like around February, and say, hey, like, how can we retool this but still help bring people into the restaurant? Because I do
Yeah.
believe that the way that we can make a change is, a lot of the retailers, not just restaurant, right? If you look at all the retailers, when they spend digital dollars on whatever platform, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, you name it, it's hard for them to actually figure out whoever clicked actually came into the retail establishment,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a clothing store, drugstore, or a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do believe that the if we can solve it for the restaurant, we believe we can solve it for tattoo parlors, cannabis shops,
100%.
any of these places that want to really drive rewards, and
Yeah.
drive people come back. And so that's really the underlying problem we're trying to solve. And yeah, so that's why we're excited. And yeah, it's a bear market, but when I first started my first startup, it was 2008, and
Mm.
then in the middle of 2008, fucking,
Yeah.
the Great Recession happened. But we came out, we sold the company, for a decent amount, and
Yeah.
we were bootstrapped, so it all worked out. So
Yeah. No, so then I guess that kind of led me to a question that I had. I still want to hear though how you guys kind of go about incentivizing like Web2 or traditional like food restaurants or industries to like kind of enter into your platform and app though. What is your process for that? Do you just like kind of like word of mouth reach out or like how?
yeah, so go to market strategy. So yeah, so the
Yeah.
way we look at this is Web2 people are never going to buy an NFT. Or not never, but it's very rare for, let's say, my
Yeah.
sister or my mom to buy an NFT and go eat and earn, right? They'll never do that. Very rare. And so the way we built it is we want to go after the crypto community, because we feel that with an NFT, with tokens, with earning, right? There's we're playing off that greed a little bit, right? So a lot of people that buy an NFT that has utility, like, let's say, people would be like, okay, I spend this much on the NFT. Each time I eat and earn, I'm doing this. And how many more dining session do I have to do to make back, right, the NFT? So there's going to be that people, and which is fine, right? Like we understand that, and that's the purpose why we're doing this. Now, built into the NFT though is you can upgrade your NFT with the Dine tokens that you earn. So instead of saying, hey, as soon as I dine, I'm going to start cashing out, we actually said, hey, look, your table gets dirty, right? Your NFT table gets quote unquote dirty. You actually have to clean it up a little bit. Also, you can upgrade your table to have more seats. And so each table comes with a seat. And as you upgrade your seat, you can now invite other people. And those people that you get invited with you and dine together with you, we call it food with friends. So when you're having food with friends, they don't actually have to have an NFT table. But because you invited them and you are eating together, they can earn Dine token without an NFT table, and you can earn more because you're eating with more people. So that accomplishes two things. One, obviously, we want to make sure that we're bringing more business to the restaurant. But number two is we also want to kind of get Web2 people involved. And so that's the way that we're trying to drive that kind of user adoption, where at first we're really just focused on crypto native people that are like used to this kind of NFT with an utility. And I think you're right, is that with the bear market, the people that are left are the people that are going to do this, whether it's a bear market or a bull market. So it kind of got filtered out for us, whether we like it or not. But I think also it drives that adoption for Web2 people, because
Mm-hmm.
the way that we've built the tokenomics and how you can earn.
Gotcha.
And I would say, yeah, and I would say lastly is that, you know, what we want to do, what we aim to do is that once we get some user adoption, and the user adoption won't be concentrated, and that's on purpose, right? Because you can buy an NFT whether you're in Thailand, Taiwan, or New York City, right? Or in Madrid. And so that's on purpose. But I think with our next round of funding, we actually want to concentrate on 3 cities, and specifically around, Asian food, right? Because like I said, it's easy to tell a somebody who already takes food selfie or food pic, when they go eating, and that is part of their routine anyway, right? Versus, me trying to, let's just say my wife is Canadian, and convince, like, let's say her sister to say, hey, every time you go to a restaurant, go and take a food pic, right? Which she doesn't have the habit, and so that's why we're actually, have a very specific focus on a specific areas, so that we can actually get the restaurants involved. I mean, we have a few restaurants out in California that is already, like, committed with some with some marketing dollars with us, and so we want to definitely build on that, with our next round of funding. So
Gotcha. So then is that like, so how would you, I kind of understood before, like the incentives behind a user kind of getting involved with your platform, but what are the incentives beyond simply like you expending marketing dollars to attract restaurants?
Oh, you mean we as Plato? No, we won't. No. So the way that we actually want to attract restaurant is actually through the eaters. So because
Gotcha.
we want to build a decentralized Yelp, if you will, right?
Okay.
Like Yelp is not really a good business, but like that's the
Yeah.
best, like analogies I can get is that,
Yeah.
if you look at all the eaters, right? They know where the good restaurants are, and sometimes they go back to the same restaurant. Let's say people dine out. What on average? I think this is the statistics is that people dine out on average of like 4.2 times in a month, right? And so probably out of those 4 times, they're probably going back to the same restaurant twice. Maybe even 3 times. And so what we actually want to do is you as an eater can earn what we call a restaurant ambassador badge by basically going to the restaurant owner or the restaurant operator and say, hey, look, last 14 days, this is the amount of foot traffic, and actually verify, earning
Okay.
that you've gotten from Plato. You don't even know about Plato at this point. And so you should sign up as an advertiser. And they're like, oh, how do I sign up? And basically the eater has a QR code for
Yeah.
him to scan right in the app. And so
That's
we want to leverage our eaters. We want to leverage the eaters instead of us like hiring biz dev and stuff like that.
yeah.
I think the funding is really actually us going after eaters specifically in different regions. So that's really where we're gonna do our marketing is
Gotcha.
we're gonna go after the eater and say, hey, look, if you're in this city or that city, like let's say in LA or in Miami, or let's say one international, let's say in Hong Kong or something, right? Where we want to concentrate our eater acquisition, and that's going to spur up the restaurant. We don't want to go after the restaurant if they want to come to us, sure, but we really want to leverage the eaters to do that.
When you walk into your round of funding, do you go, our TAM is literally the whole world?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way to do top, TAM, top to bottom or bottom to top, sort of market sizing. But yeah, it's certainly food. Like I said, food is a huge business, but it's
Yeah.
hard to run a food business because the margin's so thin. And if we can help the restaurant really do like just concentrate on what they do, which is cooking,
Yeah.
and they can actually know that, hey, if I spend $1,000, I'm not pissing that shit away. I'm actually spending on the people that are coming in, and they're going to spend it back with us when they come back, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what we're trying to
It's
drive.
like leveled up royalties, or not
Exactly.
loyalty points.
That's right. That's right.
That's super interesting. And even what you just mentioned now from your bottom up strategy to attract restaurants through your users is very similar to what Base mentioned earlier with what they're doing through communities now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're, and Base, chime in. Like I feel like if you are in Web3, which it's like you already have people in your Discord. It doesn't matter where they're from, right? But they're in a Discord, whether they are interested in what you're building, or maybe they're here first for your NFT and then interested in what you're doing. I think either way, like we gotta find a way to tap into that crowd, tap into to your community. Because in Web2, I mean, like I said, I've built Web2 before, and it's not something that it's easily like I was actually telling somebody before is that I right now have, a pool of user that I can go to without the app even being out to
Mm-hmm.
gather and solicit some feedback, right? Or
Yeah.
some where when I was building our Uber for valet parking in my second startup, like I couldn't really do that. I mean, I could pay people to do some user interviews, but it wasn't ready. I can't just chat with them right
Mm-hmm.
immediately. And so I think
Totally.
that's really the key as a builder between Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, no, it's really brilliant. So I mean, again, we crossed about we crossed over 1,000 users a couple weeks back, with 200 coming back every day, and we're lucky enough where I pop into one of our chats and I go, hey, can I talk to somebody about XYZ different feature we're thinking about or this kind of design, and I get 40 responses back because everybody's incentivized to see the platform succeed. It's a
Right.
completely different model.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. Like as a builder, it really taps into that initial adopter where they're already there, right? It's like a lot of the investor ask you, you probably know this, right? Like a lot of investors be like, hey, so where are you going to get your first 1,000 user? I'm like, I know where my first 1,000 user are going to be, right? So, and so, I mean, for us, for the eater side, right? So,
Yeah.
I really like it. I really like that in Web3. So,
No, that's a really good point. You're going from product marketing to community marketing, right? It's a very interesting
yes.
new paradigm from the Web3 space. That's
Yeah.
actually one of the huge reasons that I initially got into kind of like Web3 based projects, is because I never before had the opportunity to talk to people who I was actually investing my money into. As like a 22-year-old individual with not that much capital, like it was difficult for me to like get in contact with some of the people that I wanted to invest in, right? But being a part of these communities and like being in the Web3 space is like you actually have like a direct line to more often than not, you have a direct line to like the founders that are actually shaping these products that you believe in. It's an invaluable resource, especially if you can really tap into the way that you communicate with your community. I think it's super important.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think, you want to engage with the core. I think base, you,
Mm-hmm.
you 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 nailed it, right? It's like that core base that believe in your product. I think that those are the guys that and you listen to, you get your feedback from, and they can help you get that product much better, much faster, right? Compared to in Web 2, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so what did you just pin up on the
Oh
board
yeah, I
here?
just pinned. I just pinned. That's and this actually was taken a little bit more than a month ago when we are in Bogota. And there was a Dev Connect at Bogota, and my co-founder and I, we just kind of did a eat and earn in real life. Using our very early. It was a very early version of the app, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely wanted to kind of let people know about what's coming. So it's funny. Like I think you said you were in Lisbon
Mm-hmm.
for Solana. I don't know if you were at the Solana Hacker House, but everybody got a bag, a tote bag, and the tote bag says it was funny. The order of which they list, it was you vibe, you mint, and you build, right? And I was telling my co-founder, I was like, "Yo, man, we did this backwards. We basically build, and then we started to build,
Yeah.
and then we vibe, and now we're minting." So we're vibing and minting for the community that will come back to what we build. So instead of the other way around. But certainly, I think this whole community that we've built, it's definitely going to be, we're going to rely on them to kind of tell us on the direction and where it's going to go. And definitely we want to tap into that. So.
Yeah, 100%. It's necessary, right? If you don't listen, because these are the people that actually are interested in giving you real critical feedback that could help you improve like substantially. Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, that's like super interesting stuff, and you guys are both doing some really cool and really different things here with like some like underlying similarities that I think is kind of funny. That's why we wanted to actually have you both come on into the space at the same time, because you guys are doing something very different with kind of the way Web3 has been interacting with the communities, right? Or how communities have been interacting in Web3. Um, Base, did you have? I had a little bit more questions kind of around your platform, specifically, mainly your kind of like team members that you have under you, kind of building out this. Um,
Sure. Fire away.
How many people do you guys have working for you to like kind of create this product?
Yeah, so we are a team of 10 right now.
Okay.
Um, 5 execs and 7 of which from our entire team are technical.
Mm.
So it's myself, Adam, and Neil who are all co-founders of the company. Neil has exited 3 companies in the past, and one of his exits was the largest affiliate marketing program for Amazon very early on. We're very similarly adopting that model using Solana right now because we're not interested in launching our own token,
Mm.
and we believe we have the team to essentially build the first affiliate or use to earn model using Solana and Solana pools. It would take a little bit longer for me to dive in on that whole
Mm-hmm.
concept, but uh, between the executive team, we've sold 5 different companies,
Oh.
some of which for billion-dollar valuations. And then we have Volker, who's our CTO, who is the one who sold the company for $1 billion valuation. He just finished up his time at Dolly and came over here to bring his technical knowledge to us. He's got an extremely deep Rust background because Dolly was built entirely on Rust. And he brought over 2 engineers from Dolly to join our engineering core team.
Yeah.
So, and then we have Zach, who was on this call, but he jumped off. Zachers, he was the one who popped in and gave you some drunken poetry a couple nights ago.
Yes,
But
sir. I
he
remember that.
he's also um, as creative as it sounds on that piece. But he sold his agency that was a worldwide agency that worked with like Nike, Adidas, and a number of other consumer facing
Yeah,
brands for their creative. So he's gotten to work with some of the coolest athletes and celebrities in the world. But
that's crazy.
we have a really star studded team. We're
Mm-hmm.
all loving working together and just loving the idea of building what we hope would be one of the largest, if not the largest, social platform that started from NFTs. So
Yeah. No, that's wild. I think it's so crazy that we're seeing such a huge shift in like kind of like the sentiment behind the builders who start kind of showcasing their products and platforms before. I mean, like before in the early stages of Solana, I would have to argue that the type of products that were coming out were very immature, in the sense
mhm.
that like especially when like I would have conversations with like other founders and stuff from back then, it didn't seem like anyone had any credentials or any like actual viability for shipping the product that they wanted to build. And so this is like a super refreshing thing to have a conversation with people that actually know what they're doing or have the inclination and have at least some experience from before to help bolster that, right? So I mean, like kudos to you guys, but what took you so long? Why did you guys just now get into Solana? Where were you guys at earlier?
So we minted 10 months ago, and we closed a venture round in February. So we've been here. It
You've
just
guys
takes
been
time
here.
to build products, man.
Yeah.
We we've been building and scaling into our valuation a bit, and we're just now getting into the like 2 months ago was the first time that we felt the app was at a point that we wanted
Okay.
people to touch and use it beyond our community. So we started to onboard. From that point, we've gone from about 180 users to 1,100 last I checked for like 2 months of time. So it's been pretty explosive growth, and that was intentional. Um,
Yeah.
One thing about consumer products is like if somebody picks it up, opens it, and hates it, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
So like you got to get it right the first time, and we were really waiting on that opportunity to strike. Um, it's unfortunate that the bear market came around because there are less and less communities to go after, but
Mm-hmm.
it gives us an opportunity to build into the base of people that actually care about Solana and seeing it
Yeah.
progress. So, um, yeah. In addition to that, we're loving the opportunities to get to meet with so many new communities.
Yeah.
I was also at a breakpoint and hung out with Brick for a bit, and we got to know each other a little bit better. And I didn't give him any drunk poetry, but I definitely had a couple of glasses of wine with him.
Wow, that's super wild, actually. I mean, kudos to you guys for doing it like that too. I see so many products just like continuously promising things that don't ever get delivered, and then of course their communities like fizzle out because of it. So the fact that I myself hadn't even heard of you guys before until now, before you guys actually had a product available, is probably a testament to your strategy. Because like now, I'm very interested to hear so much more about what you guys are doing, and obviously, it sounds like a lot of other people within the community are as well. And actually,
Yeah.
it's probably a really perfect time for you to start building this out now into the bear. simply because of what you mentioned before, right? Like the people who are here now, the ones that you're communicating with and onboarding into your platforms, are the ones that are going to stay no matter how much worse the price can get, right? Like what we're 90%
Totally.
below all-time highs now. We're getting closer to the bottom, right? Hopefully. So the fact
Yeah.
that they're here now, that's a great testament to that. Wow.
Yeah, and additionally for our pool, and I wish I had more time to dive into all the mechanics behind it, but for our
Yeah.
pool right now, we're loading it up with 12,000 US dollars a month, so it's price insensitive. So we've actually seen a huge increase in the amount of Solana that's going out because we do it from a USD standpoint. So we took all the mint funds that we had and moved it over into USD because we
Smart.
felt things that were getting very frothy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of young founders in this space,
Mm-hmm.
which is a blessing and a curse. I love working with young founders when they're actually dedicated to their craft. I
Mm-hmm.
can't stand young founders when they just want the money.
Yeah.
So I completely understand what you're saying, but we ended up taking all the money out and the venture capital we've raised to continue to use the pool as essentially a user acquisition model.
Gotcha. So then I guess for the listeners who don't necessarily know how to um, separate the good young founders from the bad young founders, because I feel like a majority of the people building in the space, at least from before, were young founders. What kind of was your tell for that, right? Like
Um,
personally, this is a personal question.
yeah, I mean, I'm also an angel investor, right? So
Mm.
I have the benefit of spending enough time talking to founders and like just sitting here, I can tell that Plato is legit. And I want to connect more with them to see what
Yeah.
they're up to. You kind of just not only when you're a novice, you probably don't know a number of the terms and thumbnails that come up rapidly,
Mm-hmm.
like saying TAM in a conversation. Most probably wouldn't know. Um,
Total attainable
but
market,
yeah, total addressable market.
addressable market.
But when you and I mean those are little things that don't really matter that much. But
Yeah.
when you have a conversation with a young founder, you can get an understanding of how they're thinking about capturing the market, and I think that's
Mm.
the most important thing. A young founder with vision is able to hire into and hire up veterans to follow him. A young
Mm.
founder without vision is pretty easy to pick up on pretty rapidly.
Yeah. He's dead in the water before he even starts swimming.
Totally.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Plato, what about you? I mean, what made you guys want to come into Solana?
It's funny. We started actually building on Avalanche back in
Ah.
March. Now, and I'll tell you the reason why. So
Mm-hmm.
we obviously we started building on Avalanche, and even though my co-founder and I, we know C, so Rust is not that bad to pick it up, but it was basically Anchor Protocol was what kind of drove us to do that, because we were thinking like, hey, anybody that bought a NFT, what we can do is, as if they stake it, they're using in the app, we can actually leverage the protocol and actually get 19.5%. And now,
Mm.
obviously, we all know what happened
Yeah.
with that. So then we're like, all right, where is the community that we really want to engage with, that expect and want and actually looks for utility with their NFT? And I think we always knew Solana, and we kind of took a hard look between Solana. We took obviously with like Polygon and sort of other EVM based, and we decided with Solana just because that's where all the NFT volume was at. People are really looking out for what is the utility with this NFT, and so it's not just about the art. And so I think that's why we start choosing that and we start developing that. And so we always knew we were going to be sort of multi-chain,
Mm-hmm.
and we still going to be. But I think we're like, all right, let's go with Solana first. So, and obviously, given what's going on, like we're still very much committed, just because we met all the people at Solana Breakpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and all the folks behind Solana, right? And so we feel like, hey, the price has changed, but you know what, the people, the mission, everything it still remains. So we still remain very bullish on sort of on pushing out Solana as our first chain, and we're going to. So
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's important for NFTs or at least like Web3 projects to really go interoperable because at the end of the day, like that's what true accessibility and onboarding is going to look like. If you want to really attract as many users as possible, it doesn't make sense for you just to maintain a single chain, right?
Yeah, yeah. And, like I said before, is that, we think, we don't want to prevent like, people that want to eat and earn and
Mm-hmm.
having an NFT as a barrier.
Yeah.
And so, the couple things that we're doing is, we do have like, if you just want to eat and see what potential earning you can get. So we actually are, after our first push out to our community after minting, we're going to follow, it's a fast follow with it is kind of like a freemium model, right? Where you can join us and you can eat without an NFT, but
Mm,
any earning that you see is just a potential, right? And then you can actually claim those earning after you
nice.
buy your first NFT. So, so those are some of the things that we're doing in the background because we actually got some feedback too from some of the users that we engaged,
Nice.
and also being able to buy with a credit card. And so at first we integrated with Crossmint, but with the secondary, we had to integrate with their auction house on the Metaplex side because they only work with Metaplex auction house in order to do the secondary. So we
Mm-hmm.
actually met the guys at BMO. I don't know if you guys saw her, Millie and her team. They did a presentation at the Hacker House, and so we're actually using BMO to facilitate that very easy one-click purchase, maybe a couple-click purchase with your NFT. And if you don't have Solana, if you don't have ETH or any other coin, you can just buy with your credit card. So again, it's a couple of those things that we're working on, just making sure that it's very easy for people to get to, whether you're Web3 or not Web3. But definitely we're going after the crypto native at our first wave with our mint. So
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean that's I think there's a huge overlap too with that, right? I mean, like people who are involved in crypto are gonna have to eat as well. So I mean, like
yeah, yeah,
you're
exactly.
everyone is out there who needs to who has the ability to use your platform. So that
That's
makes a
right.
lot of
That's
sense.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So we're excited. I think we're looking forward to kind of sending out our first wave of invites,
Gotcha.
and really kind of get people's feedback, get people invited, and really kind of kick this off. Really. So
So for people who are interested in the audience on getting an invite, how would that be possible? Is there a process you guys plan on putting in place? Do we have to join your Discord? What's
yeah,
this?
yeah. Join the Discord, and I'll just follow us, and our Discord's there. I think it's just Discord slash Plato Eats,
Gotcha.
and and if you want, if you get, we don't give out OGs anymore. Our wallet submission is live on Magic Eden, but if people do want to get sort of a quick invite, just message me. I'll get you an OG, and because OGs are gonna be the first wave to
Hmm.
get the invites. So even though we wouldn't give it out anymore, but since I usually give out a couple like here and there with the spaces that I'm in. So if anybody wants access, just take a screenshot of this, go to our Discord and open a ticket and ask for me, general manager, and I'll get you OG, and you'll be on your way to get eating and earning one of the first people to do so. So.
Nice. And do you have like a general time frame on when you guys plan on sending out those invites? The first
Yeah,
wave?
so we're minting. Yeah, we're minting on December 2nd,
Gotcha.
and so basically the first wave, like right now, the official announcement is within 60 days. The first wave will go, but it's going to be a lot less than 60 days. It's just that I think within 60 days, there are a couple of functions that we want to get out, but I think we'll basically invite the first wave like within the first couple of weeks probably. So maybe smaller batch in the very beginning, but
Hmm.
definitely we want to start getting people eating and earning, and we want to collect some data. We want to collect some user retention rate, and what we want to see. Like as a builder, those are the stats that I'm curious. How many people use it. And how many time they use it. In a week. We prevent people from eating and earning more than once a day, unless you're like upgrading your table, buying, seats left and right. So it's more like, hey, on a weekly average, how many times have this person eat and earn, right? Are they doing it on a Saturday? And like, we're actually incentivizing people to go eat and earn on a Tuesday, right? Because restaurant owners on Tuesday, like it's the least amount of, like, they don't get a
Yeah,
lot of
the
people.
off days.
So yeah. So like, if you read our white paper, like, we actually increase your earning potential on Tuesdays than let's say on a Sunday or something like that.
Cool.
So yeah.
I like that initiative. It's going to
Yeah.
do really well for places that serve Hispanic food, though. Taco Tuesday is going to be booming.
Taco Tuesday, baby. That's right. That's right. So that's right.
Yeah, nice. All right, I want to kind of bring it back to base a little bit more. I kind of had a question around how your NFTs interact with your platform. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Kind of curious.
Yeah, so we have the pool, that what we call the makers pool in the Based app. So depending on how many makers you hold and how
Mm-hmm.
much you use the app, invite friends, provide feedback, etc., it dictates your payment. So you have to hold the makers to participate in the pool in its current form. So in order to take advantage of all the different benefits that are present in Based, you have to have a makers.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That's pretty easy to digest.
Yeah.
So, kind of, I'm an individual who actually really likes um, the art, right? The art within the ecosystem, within the Web3 space, specifically one-on-one art. And so I'm kind of curious as to like, I
You are
see it
gonna
says,
love our NFTs. Hold up, let me find them.
yeah, that's what I was curious about, right? So like, what is like who designed the art, where did it come from, and where did the idea come from, right? For like tying in like the floppy disks into kind of the NFT and the overall platform. Why is it Maker's floppy for the NFT?
Yeah. So I just posted it up. That's got a few examples of our NFTs in it. So our artist has chosen not to dox, but she's
Gotcha.
actually a very well known anime artist. She's really really good. Um, she may dox in the future, and that would just make them even more valuable. But
Mm.
our NFTs are, generally extremely beautiful. In addition, we have 15 level ups. So we started building this concept around level ups based on community milestones, company milestones, individual milestones pretty early on. And so there's some like baked in traits that will actually unlock certain groups for you. So one of them is the butterfly there that I posted up, and that's for one of our initiatives called Makers Heart Mods. So some of the best moderators in the space we airdropped a Makers to, and now they're a part of a horizontal community inside of our app because we believe they're like the unsung heroes of the space, and if we can get them to enjoy the app, they'll bring their communities in. So um, each one of our NFTs has 15 hidden level ups in them. The first one that went
Mm.
out is the head trait that you see there, so like the hat and the card on the girls' heads,
Yeah.
and then we use those to play like different micro games within the app itself too.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about the micro games then? Like what kind of micro games are we talking about? I'm
So
interested.
the girls' cards on their head right now. If
Yeah.
you hold 4 aces of the same color, you actually get a multiplier in the pool. So if you collect
Okay.
4 different aces, you get a four of a kind. If it's a white one, you get a 2x multiplier. A black one, it's 3x. Red for 4x and mint for 5x, based on rarity and how hard they are to collect. So if you collect those, in addition to the pool points you're already collecting, you can get as much as like 5 pool points when others can only get one a day. And those are some of the ongoing games that we do with the different level up traits.
Interesting. So it sounds like your guys' art design is like really well thought out, right? Like there's like intentional elements to it. I'm kind of curious as to hearing why you guys chose to do vinyls to showcase your partnerships with projects. Is there anything behind that, or is it just for the aesthetic?
Yeah, no, that's kind of fun, and that was Zach's doing. That's
Nice.
that's for our announcement partnerships. So the idea is we're listening to them in Based. We've
Okay.
got 50 communities that have signed up to use our announcement bot, and so rather than people having to go through their 100 communities they're a part of, they get the announcements fed directly into Based in our aggregated feed.
Nice. Okay, cool. And so what are you guys kind of like next steps and plans? Is it just going to be growing out the product and the community base? Is that kind of what you guys are focusing on now?
Yeah, so we, I'm certain some people are listening in here, but the thing we're focused on right now is getting to mobile. We're only a
Gotcha.
web app right now, and our next big focus is making sure that we can get to a mobile app because it's just obviously deeply important for a social app. So
Yeah, 100%. Cool. I think that's like all really interesting stuff, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like what you guys are both doing here is super amazing for the overall ecosystem. And so I'm happy to have been able to have a conversation with you guys. Brick, DD, is there anything that you guys would like to add? We've already passed kind of like the top of the hour, so I want to make sure that I'm respectful of everyone's time here.
yeah, thank you guys so much for having us on. If you haven't gotten into base to this point, come jump in and hit our Linktree link and join into Discord, and I'll give away a couple of makers to people that join in. But
Bef-
thank you guys so much.
yeah, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. Real quick though, before we end the session, Plato just pinned what I believe is your guys' NFT. Can you tell me more about that? I'm kind of interested
Yeah,
now too.
yeah. I figure we're talking about the art a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I just pinned something, that we have. So our collection, it's people of food, foodies, obviously,
Hmm.
and our trades. Basically, it's you're gonna expect. People of all people all around the world having different something in their hands, whether it's a drink, whether it's an appetizer, whether it's an
Nice.
entree, whether it's a dessert, and so that's the way kind of we want to engage our community, the foodies. So I think for us, yeah, our artist is also not doxxed, and so but I got to we got to know them through DeFi District, the DeFi District guys. So but definitely this is actually the second time we're doing the art. We had a set of art. If you like go back to our sort of earlier tweets,
Mm.
we had one set of art, but it just didn't look right. It didn't have any food in it. It was yeah. So we really wanted to redo the art, and we did. And so we're excited for December 2nd. Bear market or not, man. Here we come.
Yes, sir. No, I love to hear it.
Awesome. Yeah, just want to remind everyone in the space right now, as well as the people who are going to be tuning in. You know, bear market is tough, but we're still here. We're still building. You can see from both of our guests that they are really quality projects. So do remember to go and check them out. Want to remind everyone that although we do all have our go-to market strategies, and we're executing it to the best that we can, but Web3 is different. Web3 is all about community, word of mouth works so much stronger, and almost definitely, yeah, let's band together and get through this bear market. Also, I wanna just add on that we still have our Zenny list live. Go and check out our Zenilist Twitter. That is going to be in our Twitter bio. So just click on us and go and sign up for Zenilist. For those who don't know, Zenilist is we're actually partnering up with Dust Labs to curate the most comprehensive Web3 gaming community. Pretty similar to what they're doing with Youth's List back in the day. And yeah, awesome.
Yes, alrighty. Thanks for that little touch up at the end, Didi. Thank you everyone else for tuning in as well. You guys were some great guests. For everyone else listening, appreciate you guys taking the time to spend your time listening to us chat. And I guess we'll close it off now. Thanks everybody. You guys can both check out these projects. Tap on their Discords or tap on their Twitters. Check them out. Go look at their links. And of course, like Didi mentioned, sign up for the Zany list if you haven't yet.
Thanks for having us, man.
Of course. Thanks
Thank
so
you guys
much.
for